guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with another recommendation video where I'm talking about single dad romances. I love a single dad romance. I don't know what it is about just a hero who has a lot going on in his life and being more vulnerable when he has kids, whether they are younger or if they're older kids, and things get definitely very angsty because of the age of the kids and introducing someone new into their lives. And usually the kids are so well written, and I love that. I also love when the dads are put in a different position where it might not be like biological children, or it's like someone coming into their lives they didn't know about. So I have a couple of those. But before we get into the video, I do want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Avery Maxwell. Love Notes and Lifelines is part of the Single Dad Hotline series. It's always a tongue twister when I say that. And in this one, the heroine actually works for the Single Dad Hotline, where it's usually single dads calling in, and she is there to help them and guide them. And it's like an anonymous hotline. You're not supposed to know who you're talking to. You're just supposed to be there to lend help and guidance when they need it. And the hero ends up calling in, and he is her boss's boss, and she's had a very passionate kiss with him before that she's trying to forget. He is usually this like rich, hot, powerful guy at work, but he's actually very vulnerable and just kind of lost because he is taking custody of his two nieces, and he doesn't know how to be a dad. And so he calls and asks for help, and there are supposed to be no boundaries crossed on this hotline, but she ends up offering help, and she knows she's not supposed to, but she does, offering an escape too because her mother is sick and she just feels really lonely in her own life. And so she ends up helping him as he is navigating fatherhood now, and they end up falling in love. So if you want a single dad who is very new to the whole process and the heroine's just helping him through that, and they fall in love, definitely check out Love Notes and Lifelines by Avery Maxwell. And thank you so much to Avery Maxwell for sponsoring this video. A single dad romance I recently just finished where the kids are not around a ton, but the hero is definitely very passionate about being a dad and his kids, and we get really funny phone calls with them, is Mafia Madman by Mila Finelli. So this one's actually an age gap romance. He does have kids, and they're away at school because he's trying to protect them, because he's actually one of like the villains of the first book in the series, where they keep him like kidnapped because he did kidnap the heroine of book 1. So he is like in the mafia enemy of the people in the first book, and he kidnaps the heroine, who is the sister of the heroine of book 1, and he takes her on his boat. He is an investor in this fashion line, and the heroine is working for them, and he sees her and he immediately recognizes her, even though she doesn't go by her actual last name, so people don't know who she is. And he captures her, takes her on his yacht, and like keeps her there, and they end up falling in love. And he calls his kids a lot. He really cares about them, and it's really funny how he's like pushing like the principal to be like, you don't treat my kids poorly at all. He like uses his intimidation very well to make sure his kids are doing okay, and we do see them at the end. So he is very passionate about being a dad and protecting his kids, and he really loves them, even though we don't see them too much in here. But it was a fun element added to the story. Definitely consider this a single dad romance. Then we have The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. I really didn't have a lot of expectations going into this one. It was a little too long, but I thought it was so fun. The hero's just kind of awkward and like adorable, and the heroine is now his nanny. So it is a nanny romance, and I did listen to the audiobook, and they just kind of like awkwardly dance around each other, have like really cute moments. I feel like Lana Ferguson does really well of where you're just like, this is just like adorable, and you're just like kind of like giddy kicking your feet like, oh my god, like I can't get over the dynamic together. So if you want like a really sweet romance, of course the nanny romance is cute. I have a couple more in here that are the nanny romance. Read this one. I know this book is going to be a bit redundant in the next month because I read it and I'm obsessed, and I will bring it up in any video I can. Wild Love by Elsie Silver is one where it's another not traditional single dad romance, because the hero donated sperm in college to get money, and his parents are rich, like his dad's like a famous musician, but they wanted him to work for his money, and so he didn't have any. He wanted to go to a concert, so he donated sperm. 13 years later, this girl shows up on his doorstep and says, hi, I'm your daughter biologically. And even though like he wasn't supposed to be a part of her life, she really needs someone to take her in. And so he agrees. And the heroine is his best friend's little sister. And he was very awkward growing up. And I love that about him, how he's just like this really intelligent, awkward kid that she was really protective over. And he was really protective of her. But they were always butting heads. They were always like bantering. And they both secretly really liked each other though. And just never said anything. And now she is quitting her job. Well, she kind of got fired. Her big city job. And she is back in their small town, not sure what to do. And he is building his own record company and like recording studio, and she like basically tells him to hire her as his assistant, and he's like, you can work for me. And so he hires her. So now they're working together and navigating a family now, and I loved this so much. I loved Cora, the daughter. She was amazing. I loved how she was just very hesitant around everybody because of what had happened to her, and slowly opening up and really falling in love with this family. And it was so good. Like, so good. Read this. I feel like I have a lot of small town in here because I also have Love Me Today by A.L. Jackson. This one, the hero is also kind of newly a father. I will just say that. I don't want to ruin anything, but he is taking care of his daughter, and he is very, very, very grumpy. This is definitely a hate to love too, because he meets the heroine in a parking lot and they hit each other's cars, and he immediately is like, you are like the worst person on the planet. And then she shows up to be the horseback riding teacher for his daughter on his farm that he has. He's very wealthy. He will give his daughter anything she wants, and she wants to ride horses. So he hires the best in town, and that is our heroine. And he is like, no way is it you. And so she ends up having to come around a lot, and they fall in love. And there's also suspense in here, which I really loved. So very small town, single dad. If you like that, pick up A.L. Jackson. Another one where it's an age gap romance is The Worst Kept Secret by QB Tyler. This one is a best friend's dad romance. So the heroine's best friend has like really been in love with her for his entire life, and she's never been into him. So she's just like, we're friends. And then it just so happens that she hooks up with his dad. And now we have this secret of them hooking up behind her best friend's back. And the hero, I think he was a pro football player. He used to be a pro athlete, and I don't remember what kind of athlete he was, but he really cares about his kids. He's got 2 kids, and it really does kill him to have to like sneak around behind his son's back. But like everybody knows like her and the son are like not meant to be together. The son is just like infatuated with her, even though she's just never been into him. And so she doesn't know how to tell him because she doesn't want to break their friendship. So she's just sneaking around with the dad. And this whole thing is just them sneaking around together. And it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. If you want a spicy, forbidden, taboo time, read QB Tyler, read The Worst Kept Secret. Then I have another small town romance by my favorite author. We have Ashes of You by Catherine Cowles, which I think is one of the strongest books in the series. It is the last book. You can read them as standalones. I do think they're better read in order, but you can read them as standalone. So if you just are interested in this one, totally fine. This one had a lot of suspense because the heroine was kidnapped by a serial killer when she was like a few years ago, and now she has a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, and she is moving to this small town, and she applies for a nanny position, and the hero's so fed up with all the people he has had apply to be a nanny, and she shows up and they're like, oh my god, like I know you. They didn't know it was each other, and he was the one who actually found her when she had tried to escape the serial killer. And so he has always been like a sense of protection to her, so she's actually really happy to work for him. He has 3 really fun boys. They're all very different ages. One's like 16, one's like 12, 13, and one's like 7, and they're adorable, and she gets along really well with the 2 younger ones, and the older one's definitely like your broody teenager, but they really have breakthroughs, and I love the family dynamic in here. And then women start showing up dead like the serial killer's MO. So they're freaking out, and she is falling in love with a single dad, and I loved it so much. This is very single dad because she's a nanny, and the kids are like very heavily involved. The whole family of his is very involved, and I had so much fun reading this. This is just so good. I love it. I love it so much. And if you want a single dad nanny romance with suspense, which is my favorite, read this. And my last recommendation is one where they're actually younger. So he has a very young child, and he's in college, and he's a football player, and that is Second Down Darling by Lex Martin. And this is very angsty because the baby is her niece or nephew. I don't remember the gender of the baby, but the hero, so she's been in love with him pretty much her whole life. They're best friends, and he ends up sleeping with her sister and getting her sister pregnant. And obviously she is like in agony. She's like, this man I am so in love with just had a baby with my sister. Like, this is never gonna happen. And so she ends up actually moving schools because she just cannot see them together. It just like hurts too much. And so she transfers schools, and then he ends up transferring, does not know, he transfers to her school for football and sees her and is like, what are you doing here? And she's like, what are you doing here? And she slowly ends up helping him because he is a single dad now with a baby, and she offers to help because like it is still her family, and they end up spending a lot of time together and falling in love, and it is so good. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I had so much fun reading this, and there's an extra level of angst because the baby's mom is her sister. So the sister's not a good person, I will say that. So you don't really feel bad that she's falling in love with like her sister's baby daddy. Like, it's totally fine, and it's really good. It's really good. If you want a new adult college sports romance single dad, read this one. And those are all of my single dad recommendations. Let me know if you have any, because I love this trope so much, and I just like love it when it's so well done and the kids are so fun. And again, thank you so much to Avery Maxwell for sponsoring this video. Make sure you do check out Love Notes and Lifelines for a really emotional single dad romance where the hero is new to the single dad life and the heroine is breaking all the rules in order to help him, and they do have a little bit of a history with a kiss that they both shared that they're trying to forget but obviously cannot, and falling in love. So again, thank you to Avery Maxwell for sponsoring this video, and make sure you check out her new book. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.